Welcome to the Starkville Daily News Digital Express for this week. I'm Danny Smith. I'm the sports editor of the Starkville Daily News, and Joel Coleman, he's our beat writer for Mississippi State. And Joel, I think we'll lead off this week. Mississippi State 2-0, and they're going into a Power 5 matchup at home against Kansas State. Played them last year. They won handily 31-10, but I know Kansas State is an approved ball club, so it's going to be a big-time challenge for the Bulldogs Saturday. What's your thoughts?
It is. It'll be a little different team than State saw a year ago over in Manhattan. New head coach at Kansas State, the guy that was at, I believe, North Dakota State, that orchestrated that monster of a team in North Dakota State in Division IIA. But so it'll be a little bit of a different team. It's a team in Kansas State that so far this year, they're third in the country in rushing yardage. They've racked up 694 yards of rushing in 2 games. Going to be a pretty big test for that Mississippi State defensive front that through 2 games this year, you can tell that Montez Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons, as Joe Ward said a couple weeks ago, they're not walking back through that door. And so you're going to see a test for that group up front, I think, with a team that wants to run the football in Kansas State. I think it bodes well for Mississippi State, and that they are the better team, and it's at home, and yeah, they should win. They're the favorite. But it is going to be a bit more of a challenge, I believe, this go-around than it was a year ago. And I know that as we get further into it, we can talk about it, but probably the biggest question, if you want to call it that, going into the game on Saturday is who's playing quarterback for Mississippi State.
Could be one of 4 guys, I understand.
Could. That's what Joe has said throughout the week, that it could be Tommy Stevens, or it could be Garrett Schrader, or it could be Keaton Thompson, or even Jalen Maiden, who hadn't even been on the depth chart to this point. So I find it hard to believe it would be Jalen, but you never know. But I do think, and Joe hit on this a little bit in the teleconference on Wednesday, that there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on here. He said we kind of like to keep our cards close to our vest on this, and you can't blame a coach for that. He really gains nothing, by saying, here's our quarterback. Basically, that's saying, hey, Kansas State, here's the quarterback. You don't really have to prepare for the other guy. I fully understand that sentiment. So the way I see it is Tommy Stevens will most likely be your quarterback on Saturday morning. He came up and talked to the media on Tuesday night, and 99.9% of the time, if a guy's truly hurt and going to be unavailable that week, they're not going to send him up there to talk to us on Tuesday night. That's just usually how it works. And so I'm going to be shocked if Tommy Stevens isn't the quarterback. That said, if he's not, I would guess Garrett Schrader gets that nod. And look, he looked pretty doggone good to be a true freshman the other day.
He did. He managed things well.
And so I feel like that even if Garrett Schrader is the guy, Mississippi State's offense is in good shape because he could throw the football around. And, oh, by the way, Kylan Hill's playing no matter what.
Right.
And he rushed for 217, I believe, last year against Kansas State. So can he do it again? Who knows? But you got to like your chances with Kylan in the backfield. I figure, if you're Kansas State and you remember what he did against you last year, they're probably on the way to Starkville. It's kind of like whenever you have a baseball team, sometimes you circle a guy in the lineup and you say that team may beat us, but that guy is not going to beat us. You have to imagine Kansas State's probably circled Kylan Hill and saying Mississippi State may beat us, but Kylan's not going to.
Right.
But that said, nobody's stopped Kylan Hill yet this year, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can have another monster game like he did a year ago. So whoever's quarterback, Kylan Hill's going to play either way, and I think State's going to should be in good shape. Now, anytime you have a matchup when you're a favorite, turnovers, anything like that could switch the balance of power, but Mississippi State, I would say, has a strong chance to be 3-0 if they handle business.
Okay. Well, we'll shift to high school real quick. One other point about the Mississippi State game, 2 very good rushing attacks. Kansas State leads the country in rushing as a team, so it looks like, who's going to stop who in the running game might be the team that wins this game. But high school-wise, several big games again this week, as there always seems to be in this area. Our game of the week is going to be Starkville Academy. They're hosting Magnolia Heights at J. Logan Field, and the first district game for Starkville Academy. And they're anxious to put both teams are 2-1. Should be a great matchup there. And Chase Nicholson's gotten 2 wins in a row. You saw him win last week down in Noxapater. What was your opinion of the Vols?
I really feel like that nobody wants to lose, but I feel like that opening week loss for Starkville Academy must have, ignited something within them, because they, as you said, they bounced back the next week and shut out French Camp, and then last week I got to see them at Noxapater, and a Noxapater team that'd been running wild over pretty much everybody, and that Starkville Academy defense, other than one play, Noxapater's quarterback broke off a 50-something yard run, but other than that one play, Starkville Academy, you take that play out, Starkville Academy I think held them to only about 100 yards the rest of the game. So that defense is pretty stout, and they have bounced back nice, from that first win home game. They're playing well. They seem to be adopting that Chase Nicholson strategy of get better week to week. Well, if they make another stride from what I saw last week to this week, Starkville Academy is going to be awful tough to beat on Friday night.
And another big game in Strawville. It's going to be a big Friday night in Strawville. Louisville comes the short 30-mile stretch down Highway 25 to play Strawville. Getting that game back on the schedule is big because they haven't played each other in a few seasons, and it'll be Tyrone Shorter at Louisville for the first time, and him and Chris Jones know each other well. They coached against each other, coached with each other, so it's a game Strawville. I don't say they have to win it, but they don't want to go 1-3 at this point of the season.
Yeah, I don't know that in Game 4 of the year that you can have a must-win, because when I hear must-win, I mean, if they lose, it's not like they're canceling the rest of the season. There's still hope, but
they hadn't started district yet.
Yeah,
so.
But it's odd just sitting here as we look at the schedule to have a 1-2 Starkville team. That just looks weird right off the bat. But 1-3 would be even, I guess, more weird. But it does feel like kind of a tipping point week for Starkville a little bit, isn't it? Yeah. If you want to get into district play with some momentum rolling and feeling good about yourself, this does feel like a week that the Jackets need to come away with a W. I really like Chris Jones. I think that they could recover even should they lose this week. They have plenty of talent over there at Starkville High, but it does for a Week 4 game. It's not a division game. It does feel a bit bigger than most Week 4 games would feel, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's those two games are the two highlight games, but you have East Webster. They're at home again against Choctaw County. That's a big area game. It always is when they play each other. And Eupora's on the road at Union. French Camp is at Okolona, so we got those two teams on the road. And over in Clay County, West Point's home again after that big win over Strawville. They play the Tupelo Golden Wave, so that'll be a big Highway 45 matchup. And Oak Hill and Hebron Christian are back at home after going on the road last week. Hebron Christian went all the way to Bogalusa, Louisiana, and beat Ben's Ford. So that was a big win for David Foster and his Eagles group. So another great slate of games.
It is. I'm not to pick one out, but that two area teams matchup of Choctaw County East Webster, that always seems to be when those two teams hook up, it always seems to be a pretty good matchup. And you got a Choctaw County team that's now lost a couple in a row that heading into a place that isn't all that easy to win at over at East Webster, and so there again, it's one of those Week 4 matchups that I think for Choctaw County, it's new coach, you don't want to. You'd prefer, if you're the Chargers, to not start 1-3. You want to get some positive momentum rolling, but it's going to be awful tough against the East Webster team. That's been playing pretty well so far this year. I guess 3-0 now. So can they stay perfect against what you got to think is going to be a motivated Charger group? And Eupora got back on the winning side of things a week ago, and can they even out that record? So it's a big week for them too. It's a big week of high school football around here. Maybe nothing that's earth-shattering, that defines the season, but for momentum's sake and things, a lot of teams need W's this week.
Yeah. Well, a lot of good games again this week. It seems like each week it gets better and better. For Danny Smith and Joel Coleman, this has been the Digital Express. Signing off.